Oh, Yuki! She noticed his brown head coming towards her. Without a second thought, she threw herself at him. Hey! Stepping to the side, he barely dodged her. Do you have a minute? For you always! Bailey stood up and replied cheerfully. I don't know many things, but it looks like something strange is happening here. More training, constant surveillance. It's too fast. Thought that was normal here. Blonde Devil didn't seem surprised. Is that a problem? I wouldn't call it a problem, more like inconvenience. Yuki continued. You have your own reasons to be here, and so do I, but we can both gain if we stay under the radar. Oh, have I done something to offend you? She tilted her head, trying to figure out his reason. No, I just have a proposition. Help Miku learn how to use her powers. Can't you do it yourself? Sounds like a pain in the behind. She turned away, seemingly angry. I could, but you already showed a few people what you can do. Having silver powers makes you more suited for that than being empty. Ha! Don't make me laugh, she mocked him. I don't like her. Find someone else. If I do it, people might realize that I'm not as useless as I tried to be and move me. Every power might be rough in a month, but not impossible. Leave it to me. Belle turned back instantly with excitement in her eyes. You should change your tune quick. Yuki just sighed. If I can do anything for you in return, just name your price. How about a kiss? She came closer to him, active seductively. Sure. Right here. She touched with her finger to where her lips would be under her mask while still coming closer, the faces almost touching. Of course. But if I also want more? Belle asked as her finger started to wander on his chest. Would you still be fine with it? No problem. For a few seconds they stayed like that, frozen in time. The end of the lesson started to grow closer as the artificial sun took on an orange hue. You are no fun, you know that, replied Belle and turned away once again. I'm not the one getting flustered here. I told you can have anything you want from me. I'll think about it. Face covered by a pink blush, she was playing with her thumbs while looking at the ground. You said before that you love me, Yuki continued. We barely know each other, so maybe you should give it some more time. Maybe I should. Maybe I won't. There are things in this world that even you cannot explain. She calmed down and sincerely gave her reason. Maybe because I was told to. Maybe I feel sorry for you. Or maybe it's because I can feel something familiar, something reminding me of my past. We'll see where that leads me. I'm sorry, but my heart is already taken. It's okay. Love is a war, and I'm ready for a cheap fight. Teehee. She laughed, not bothered by it in the slightest. Don't you mean a fair fight? No? Why would I play fair? That sounds so dumb. Looking back at Yuki, her blonde hair waving in the wind, she smiled. You really are no fun. We have to work on that later. I'll keep you to that promise. He smiled in reply. Belle is smarter than she thinks, but only if she cares. While she doesn't have the same problems as Yuki does, at that moment both of them knew his fatal flaw. It will only get worse as the time goes on. It might be a month, two, a year. His actions will catch up to him eventually. Acting smug and childish, yet there was another message underneath. Love isn't about winning or losing. Both of them knew that. It's about trust, support, mutual growth, and happiness. Even if you lose, you can both enjoy the spoils of that war. Even if only one of you is happy and complete in the end, you grew, you learned, you didn't give up, and at the very least the other person is happy. Hand in hand, both of them went towards the tree to meet with the rest of the class. Hey, Miku! Yelled Amy from afar, running towards her friend. Hey, had fun with your group? Miku replied politely. I think the fun part had just begun. Gale is really strong, you know? That giant can already control a bit of his element, complimented him Amy. I think I might be jealous. I mean, both of us can do the same, but knowing he just joined is pretty impressive indeed, continued the thought Jane. Makes you wonder how much more we need to learn to be ready. Probably a lot. Amy stood on top of Miku's toes and helped her up. Thanks, Amy. You're welcome. So, want to go to the gallery after? Asked Jane. I don't know. I think I'll rather go back home and get my thoughts straight. Thanks, though. Sure, Jane replied as she watched Miku distance herself from them. Looking at her made Jane's heart ache. Normally she wouldn't even budge, but now Miku looked hurt. Any ideas? Not really. We shouldn't meddle if she doesn't want us to. Jane saddened. Bay really is a monster. Yuki doesn't want to deal with it. That's rough. I might have a plan, but we need to get better at using our powers so we actually have a valid reason. Don't tell me. Yes, exactly what you think. Amy laughed loudly. I'm itching for a rematch, but don't think I'm ready yet. I have a vague idea what I need to work on though. Jane started to laugh. Really, I wonder which one of you is a bigger monster. Hey, stop it! As Jane ran away in playful fear, Amy quickly followed after her. Truth be told, but most thought she was just better. Nobody ever noticed how much better. Until the last few weeks, Amy was always able to match her strength and technique to her opponent, a delicate balance of still winning easily, but also not giving away too much. During her sparring with Bale, apart from being ridden with doubt and fear, she let loose a bit of her inner self. It wasn't even close to enough to take her down, however. Someone who bested her without problems, paired with what Yuki said, finally gave her a reason. Stagnant and bored, a light shone through the broken ceiling, marking the rebirth of her resolve. Gathering at the tree in the middle, the class left the field in organized fashion as the sunset slowly turned to the gloom. A guiding light showed them the way. Maybe it was only a week into November, but days were getting very short. At the entrance to the school, Miss Richard thanked everyone for today, and everyone went their separate ways. Miku shuffled away towards the student apartment with most of the class, yet keeping her distance. Want to go to my place? Asked Bale in the distance. Only if you go to my place. Why? We won't be together. That's the point. Shut her down, Yuki, as she laughed in reply. You know, somehow I feel sorry for him, Jane remarked, staring at the scene with Amy. Yeah? Don't know if it's because the way she acts or what she says, but it makes me sick. Last to leave the school ground, the girls split. Jane left for the library to borrow a book for tomorrow, as Amy went to the gym. For the plan to work, she had to get better, not only at using her power. She was training daily and doing special practice once a week, but without any challenges it became dull, slowly reigniting her passion for perfecting herself because, in fact, chasing a dream is more enjoyable than reaching it. After the history class the next day, students took a lunch break and proceeded to the outside of the school. Miss Richards proposed to drop their home class for them to go home an hour earlier and rest. She waited patiently for a bit of quiet and asked politely for her pupils to squeeze in the middle. Standing next to the door and the school security system, she put a key in and turned it. The ground shook for a little while, and a weapon locker emerged from both sides of the entrance. This is an emergency catalyst locker. In the event something happens, and students are forced to take action, this is where you can get equipment. She stopped for a second and gathered her thoughts, not trying to scare her students, but it was important for them to know. For now, your cards have gained access to them, so we can use the catalyst for our lessons. Until now, only proven candidates could access them, but so far there was no need for it. Go ahead, try your cards and get a catalyst for yourself. While the young adults opened the lockers and interacted for the first time with a forearm-long white baton, which was the catalyst, Miss Richards watched them closely. It was a training model, and only people who were proven to control the influence could get them fitted to make it better. Still, it was a dangerous tool, and letting them interact with it for the first time outside might be foolish, but it was a conscious plan. Miss Richards was close to each of them and would be able to help them suppress the effects sooner. While most students had no problem with the catalyst, obviously, Yuki couldn't touch one because it would instantly bruise his hand. Nobody was surprised by that, yet Belle also had a suspicious reaction. Her poor health and immune system were the issue, as the catalysts were a mixture of different materials and chemicals, which in turn caused an allergic reaction. Red inflamed spots started to appear along her hand with a swell rash. It went away as fast as it came, without any issue, but she would require a specialized one to use it at all. I'm sorry, Bale. Are you alright? Asked Miss Richards. Yeah, just itchy, she replied calmly, rubbing her palm. But you would be prepared, since I had a lot of medical tests done before entering. I can't tell for sure since I'm not responsible for that, but I will keep an eye for it from now on. It wasn't as serious as Yuki's reaction would be, nor did it need any treatment for the time. Still, it worried her, not because of the issue at hand, but because of how poorly it was planned. Okay, everyone, take your catalyst and let's slowly make our way towards the field. Same as before, the class went into the lift and headed underground. Standing before the tree, Miss Richards explained a bit more about today's lesson. Any questions? She asked the class. Where Seth and the rest? Asked Maria, looking up from behind her blue hair. They are resting. I don't know a lot myself, but they won't be back for a bit longer. Trying to act polite, she explained calmly, but the problem was that nobody knew. The boys had an accident last week and remained in a coma with barely any brain function. Miss Richards couldn't tell them that. Miss Richards? Jane tried to say something, even though Miko asked her not to say anything. Were they in an accident or something? No, I don't think so. Why do you ask? Replied curious teacher. I don't know. Just had a thought. Jane mumbled her reason, as the guilt of somehow being connected to that was eating away at her. Okay, I promise. If I know anything concrete, I will share it with all of you. Storm sitting down for now, Miss Richard led the class towards the practice spot and showed them how to practice. Each team had its dedicated spot, with absorbent pillars spread over that space. During the walk, Amy poked Jane and scolded her, since they weren't supposed to talk about it. Whether Miko had a valid reason for that or not wasn't the issue anymore. Fingers would point to them no matter what, and the entire situation was so unbelievable there would be no explanation. Since nobody asked them about anything, there is a high chance that there is no evidence of their meeting or any suspicious activity. How would they even explain a brick golem deactivating Seth's power and destroying his knife? Nobody would believe them. Time after time, Miss Richards showed everyone how to train and, more importantly, how to be safe while doing so. She went back to the tree and kept on watch over everybody while Yuki sat beside her, reading from his tablet. Yo, you already know how to do everything? Asked Belle, approaching Miku from behind. While her tone was playful, she was serious. Not really, she responded silently. Although she didn't have any particular feelings about Belle and was happy with what she was doing, her voice still shook. Then stand up. We have a lot to learn, right? Smiling, she extended her hand, still being cheerful. Why do you care? I can learn on my own. Don't need your help. You say that, but without him you could achieve nothing, you know? Retracting her hand, Belle straightened herself. Her voice took on a more serious, even sinister tone. You're a worthless worm, a waste of space. Even looking at you make me feel discomfort. All you do is drag him down. I cannot compete with someone so low. At least make it a challenge. What do you mean? Hmm? Oh, you mean how do I know about you and Yuki? She smiled under her mask and in an instant went back to her serious voice. You can act however you like. You won't fool me. All you do is hurt yourself, which I don't really care about. Yet he only sees you. I need you to get better so he can stop worrying about you and rest a little bit. So if you could help a sister out, okay? How can you teach me anything? We are the same age. Maybe you got here later. I don't believe you learned anything before coming here. Believe what you want. I owe you no explanation. Belle stopped, letting her think. Amy should have already told them how exceptional she is. But because he asked, her hands were tied. What a pain in the behind. Why do you care about this infection so much? She thought to herself. She was right though. Miku realized that. She needs to be stronger to stand alone. If she realized all of that, might be more people who could feel something isn't right. Relying on someone and receiving help, it was her first time when she found an obstacle she couldn't deal with alone. So, Yuki already told you about the connection between feelings and the power, right? Well, he isn't wrong. It's your fault for not asking more. Bear sat next to her, twiddling with a small stone in her hands, displaying her skill. With a flick of her fingers, she sent the stone flying so fast that an explosion deafened Miku. Don't worry, nobody will notice what I do, so even if you try to tell anyone, they won't believe you. She smiled wildly under her mask and continued. What do you feel is important, but also its meaning? Fire is ferocious, angry, ever hungry and devouring, but also warm, pleasant, provides safety and cooks food. My favorite is wind, powerful, dangerous, whimsical but also free. It can help people grow and level an entire city in the next minute. It doesn't care, but everyone needs its favor to survive. Another long break for Miku to collect her thoughts. While Belle was drowning in disgust, it was okay. He asked her. There was nothing she wouldn't do for him. Even spending time with those insects was bearable. Be a good girl and go play by yourself for a bit. The less I have to be involved, the better. Do you really think this will help Yuki? Miku stood up and looked into the sky, hoping. Who knows? Bale hesitated. Gods should never mix with cattle, but here we are, she thought. The world is a dangerous place. If you think I'm evil, I have bad news for you. In a strange moment of sincerity, Bale exposed her feelings. Why do you assume I think you are evil? You want to help Yuki. Because if you don't, you are even dumber than I thought. Bale responded with anger and disappointment. Really, what does he see in you? After a bit of thought, she continued. You are still here? Go on, sure. You are on borrowed time anyway. Once he's bored with you, there will be no one to protect you. As Miko went closer to the obelisk with her catalyst in hand, Belle watched her closely. She's not hopeless, but a waste of effort for sure. Throughout her 16 years of life, Worf never connected to people, always on the run, fighting for survival on every step. There was no place for kindness in her world, as nobody ever introduced the concept to her. The strong rule over the weak, and since she had the power now, the world was her playground. She finally could do whatever she wanted to, and play with her toys as they had before. If not for him, if they met sooner, maybe she could have a friend to play with all those toys together. Now it looks unlikely. First person to defy her, but at least he is fun to play with. A cold chill went down his spine as the blonde devil looked his way. Was she thinking about him? Of course she was. Over the last week, Bale achieved her initial goal. Yuki looked at her, and she garnered his attention. While his feelings for Miku are true and only, Belle had started to appear in his sight too. Maybe spending time with Miku will show her a different perspective. Maybe she will find some answers within herself. Maybe she will see the world partially as he sees it, or maybe she will grow more resentful towards people. Who knows? Maybe, just maybe, if he tempered her in the right way, if he kept her happy, she could become a great ally. Although she was nothing but indifferent and hostile towards him, Miku knew her plan didn't work from the start. Bale coming into the picture made her happy, yet the same issue persisted. Nothing else to do than to take her advice. Perhaps, if she indeed grows stronger, he can finally let go of her and be free. It hurts, she thought, but it's the right choice. I don't want to hold him back anymore. New resolve pumping through her heart, yet still for all the wrong reasons. Thinking about her feelings and trying to connect elements to something, Miko struggled greatly. Her world was too perfect for her to be emotional. Learning never posed a problem. She had plenty of friends, never got into any problems, and always had whatever she wanted. The princess who stepped down to earth for the first time had to see that nothing is given. Fire is fire. What do you mean, but what does it mean? Fire is warmth. Water is change, earth is reliability, wind is freedom, nature is forgiveness, energy is power, light is safety, and darkness is lack of light, leisure, trust. But what now? It was nothing more than an exercise without any artificial meaning behind it. Will that work? Nothing feels any different than before. The catalyst didn't react, the obelisk is still there, blank, nothing new. Discouraged, but her heart kept throbbing like it wanted to tell her something. Tomorrow there will still be a day. And so the next day. She has plenty of time. Do you think she can master her power in time? Asked Miss Richards. How should I know? Replied Yuki. I don't know. Just thought maybe you might. Miss Richards laughed. Somehow it feels weird seeing both of them spending time together. Why? Well, it's rare to see a friendly competition of a such serious matter. I don't think you should talk to me about that. Without even batting an eye, Yuki responded emotionlessly. You're right, I shouldn't, she replied with a smile. I also should report you for manipulating another student who's in dubious state at the moment. Less pleased, but still calm, Miss Richards continued to speak. At this point, we are partners in crime, so the friendly teacher student interaction doesn't apply. Silence. It wasn't awkward, more like hostile. For a second, Yuki thought about taking action, but after some thinking, he knew she didn't pose a threat. I don't know if what you are doing is right or wrong, but I know you are beyond whatever anyone can control, she continued. I kept seeing the shadow following me, never coming too close, but close enough I can feel the threat. Same one I had a dream about when you lost consciousness in my lab. Don't worry about it, Yuki assured his teacher with his emotionless tone. I said I'm sorry for dragging you into this, but the more I explained, the bigger the issue would become. He paused for a moment, and his voice saddened. Seth wasn't a bad person. His upbringing was poor, and he was misguided. I'm not responsible for him or his well-being. Still, I can tell you, instead of 4 students, you would lose 9, and cannot even tell how many more people would get involved. Yuki, what is going on? Miss Richard wasn't alien to people not telling her things, but this was different. He was alone, against everyone. Even people responsible for his safety were oblivious to what was going on. If I could tell you, there would be no problem with it, would it? Just tell me 2 things. Will everything be fine, and do you have a plan? I don't know, and I have a general idea for a plan. Nothing of this concerns you. I will take the best possible path to cause the least trouble for everyone. I see. As reassuring as empty words can be, for her there was no way that was the best path to take. With how limited her information is, maybe it really was. Doesn't mean she could ever accept it. By the way, the substance that Bale is allergic to is aluminium. It's used in powdered form in catalyst, which is more reactive and can penetrate deeper into the system. It's why she reacted violently to the catalyst, but not to daily things. They will figure it out soonish. I guess I shouldn't tell anyone? She asked curiously. I don't mind either way, as long as you frame it right. The information should be in her file, but assuming you don't have access to it, you can make a suggestion based on an educated guess. Yuki explained carefully. Sure, his knowledge goes beyond any reason. He has access to things that only a selected few know about. She works there and doesn't know anything about Bale. What question, however? Why are you telling me all of this? Why not? He asked, surprised. What do you mean? I could be recording you, setting you up. Things, you know. Pretty sure you should realize the stakes by now. Yuki wasn't thrown off by her way of seeing the world. It was even refreshing to talk to someone who doesn't see only the darkest part daily. I think I'm just bored and don't have many people I can talk to, or just feel like I'm progressively losing myself, and I'm afraid of what's to come. Then why are you doing this? You are 16, you have your whole life ahead of you. There must be something we can do for you. Can't tell for sure, as I don't understand the entire thing perfectly yet. If there is a way, I will let you know, but I doubt it. I don't have the courtesy to hope anymore. While speaking, he wasn't sad. It was compliance. It's fine, though. There are things to be done that only I can do. Okay, just know, since I'm already part of it, you can always talk to me about anything. I sure will, replied Yuki. Having someone to keep him grounded will absolutely be something he could use, just Miss Richard might not be the best fit for the role. After all, 1 second of pulling your guard down might end with someone losing their lives. Bale, Gale, shadows, maybe even something that isn't accounted for yet, like Seth's accident. There was no time for him to rest at any moment. Even when he loses consciousness, the security he put in place takes care of everything. It strains his body, but it had to be done. Soon after, Miss Richard got called to one of the groups for help, so she had to leave Yuki alone. From that point on, the lesson got pretty busy for everyone except for the special group. Miku made no progress, and Bale was bored out of her mind watching over her. Overall, the first day of their actual practice went well. There was no incidents, and the class made substantial progress. 2 months was slow, but comparing the ages between classes, it was an acceptable pace. That and while pod training was safer, it was much slower. Accidents were uncommon, but the great majority of them happen a long time after the obelisk training. Each person has their own style and technique, and developing them is difficult. Amount of influence, control of it, shape, form, usage, everything has its own problem that every student has to conquer on their own. A month is still a short time to master any of those skills, but the test will also check their quick thinking and planning, along with general knowledge. This is still a military facility, and tactics were also pushed onto Miss Richards to teach her class on a later date.